Welcome to the Punjab. I'm going to show you a bean dish that is very popular, Mahdi dal. You need 7 ounces of whole black urad, which Punjabis call Mahdi dal, and 2 ounces of rajma, which is red kidney beans. These are quite hard, so they need to be soaked overnight, and this is what they look like when they're soaked. And I'm going to put them into water that will cover them by about an inch or 2. And then cover it and let it simmer very gently for 3 to 4 hours until it's really tender. After the dal has simmered for 3 to 4 hours, it should be really soft. It'll look like this, and you need to mash it further. Now I'm going to put into it 7 ounces of chopped tomatoes, 2 teaspoons of cayenne pepper, 4 teaspoons of chopped garlic, 4 teaspoons of grated ginger, and a good dollop of butter, which everyone in Punjab loves. I'm going to just stir that in and let it cook very gently for another 30 minutes. The next step is to put in 4 tablespoons of single cream, a teaspoon of Punjabi garam masala, and about a tablespoon of salt, just as much as you need. That goes in. Give it a bit of a stir and let it cook very gently again for about 8 minutes. Now you can serve the beans exactly this way. This is how they're served at a langar. Or you can add an extra fillip, do a tadka. Now here there are 3 tablespoons of ghee and about 3 tablespoons of finely slivered onions which are browned. I'm going to put into that a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, shake it once quickly and pour it into the dal. There it is, Mahdi dal.
And the street food is some of the best in India. The culinary art which makes Amritsar particularly famous is that of tandoori cuisine, the cooking of meats, fish and breads over coals in ferociously hot clay ovens, so they're cooked through but remain perfectly succulent.
This is where many tandoors in Amritsar start their life. They're made out of clay and koya, and a large one like this will cost you about 10 pounds. But if you want a small one for your kitchen, well, how about this one? It's only 2 pounds.
The women making the tandoors are quick and skillful and achieve extraordinary symmetry and smoothness with just their hands. A large one can be made from scratch in a day, but will then take a week to dry naturally before it can be used. And this is the end result.
I'm in the heart of the old walled city of Amritsar, Kesar Da Dhaba, which is a vegetarian joint that's been here since 1916. Now these people here are making breads in tandoors. He's making the dough with whole wheat flour. He's making stuffed parathas, they're stuffed with potatoes. These are plain rotis. And here they're making lachadar paratha, which are quite wonderful. They layer the breads with ghee and they turn very flaky and are quite delicious. I'm going to show you how to make another popular Punjabi bread, bhaturas. These can be eaten with almost anything. To make them, you need 14 ounces of plain white flour, 3½ ounces of semolina, a 1/4 teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda, 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, a teaspoon of salt. Then you whisk together 6 fluid ounces of water, 2 tablespoons of yogurt, and 2 teaspoons of sugar, and use these to knead the dough. Now, once the dough is made, you let it sit for 15 minutes. This is what the dough looks like when it's sat for 15 minutes. You have to now add 2 tablespoons of ghee, clarified butter, and knead it again, and then cover it and let it sit for another 45 minutes. You divide it into about 14 parts, make balls like this, flatten the ball slightly, dip it in flour, then you roll it out, and you drop it into very hot oil, and let it fry till it's puffed, take it out, and now it's ready to be eaten.
As night falls in Amritsar, the homeward-bound workers catch a quick snack in its main thoroughfare, Lawrence Road. The whole road smells of food cooking, and in particular, the wonderful mouth-watering aroma of freshly cooked tandoori chicken.
What better place to make and eat tandoori chicken than right here on Lawrence Road in the evening? Amarjeet makes some of the best tandoori chicken in town. Now this is how he does it. He takes 2 tablespoons of double cream, 2 tablespoons of cumin seeds, a teaspoon and a half of peppercorns, 3 black cardamoms, a teaspoon of cloves, an inch and a half of fresh ginger, 6 cloves of garlic, a tablespoon of cardamom pods, 3 hot green chilies, a teaspoon and a half of cayenne pepper, and some food color, and he blends it all into a marinade. All Amarjeet has to do is to take some chicken, skin it, cut slits in it, and rub the marinade over it and leave it for half an hour. Then it's ready to be put in the tandoor. Now, the chicken cooks in the tandoor for 15 to 20 minutes. Those of you who don't have a tandoor can use an oven. Just make it as hot as you can and leave the chicken in for 15 to 20 minutes. Halfway through the roasting, he takes the chicken out and rubs it all over with a lot of ghee and puts it back in. And then when it's done, he takes it out, he chops it into small pieces in a bowl. Then he takes chaat masala, which is a mixture of spices that has, among other things, sour green mango powder in it. And then it's ready to be eaten.
Becoming one of the staple foods of Punjab, paneer, the Indian cheese. High in protein, it's a key element in Punjab's delicious vegetarian repertoire. First, the milk is brought to the boil and then ladled through muslin to rid it of impurities. Whey is added, which makes the milk curdle, and then the hot curds are immediately poured into muslin. Now, for those of you who've made paneer at home and left it waited for several hours, this next piece of information is going to come as something of a revelation. The paneer is pressed here for just a matter of minutes.
I'm going to show you how to make a very quick appetizer with this fresh paneer. It's very much like mozzarella. As you know, it's made out of buffalo's milk and the tastes are very similar. Here's a slice. Now I'm going to cut it into pieces. Now I'll make the topping for the cheese. I'm putting some onions, some chopped tomatoes, some very finely chopped ginger, some mint. You can put green coriander if you like, some green chilies, as much as you like, a little bit of salt, a little bit of black pepper, and then you can put a mixture of chili powder and ground roasted cumin. And the last thing is generous squeezes of lime juice, which will give it a wonderful sour taste. Mix it all up nicely. Now all that's left to be done is put the topping on top of the cheese.
That rich Punjabi milk also makes wonderful yogurt. It's the simplest of processes. Just boil milk with a little light yogurt added, left to stand for 5 or 6 hours. It can then be made into the most delicious and certainly nutritious of drinks, lassi. A few scoops of plain yogurt are loaded into an electric churn. Sugar is added, milk and ice cubes, and it's all whizzed up.
It's cool, soothing and rich.
In the village, the old method of churning butter with a wooden implement called a madani is still occasionally used instead of an electric churn. The delicious richness in many of Punjab's foods comes from this fresh white butter. Preparing foods for those in the fields is a major part of a typical village morning. Quantities of that Punjabi mainstay paratha are made, butter is clarified for ghee, vegetables are fried, and dals bubble away. By late afternoon, the men harvesting the rice crop are ready for their meal. Served to them where they rest in the fields.
Outside kitchen, right in the courtyard, and it's here that I'm going to show you how to make a very famous Punjabi dish, sarson da saag. The main ingredient in this is mustard greens. I require spinach, which of course you know about, and mustard greens, which are very nutritious and they have a slight pungency to them. Now they need to be chopped up, so I have very finely chopped spinach, about a pound and a bit, and the same amount of mustard greens. And all of these go into the pot. There's about 1 1/4 pints of water in here. And I have to put something else in as well. 5 tablespoons of chopped garlic and about 4 or 5 green chilies. And then cover the pot and let it simmer very gently for about 1 hour and 3/4. Now after 1 3/4 hours, you really have to mash the greens. That's a very important step here because they have to get buttery smooth. Every stem has to be mashed down. And while I'm doing it, I'm going to add about 2 teaspoons of salt and cornmeal flour, which is a wonderful ingredient that they use here for thickening. And I'm going to put in about 5 tablespoons. And this has to be slowly mashed in as well. It should become part of the greens. So you really need to keep stirring and mashing until it's thick and smooth. And so this part of the greens is done now. Now I have to finish off the greens. So what I've done is I put 3 tablespoons of ghee or clarified butter in here, and then put in 2 chopped onions and brown them like this. And I'm going to put slivers of ginger, about 2 inches of ginger, and then add tomatoes, 2 tomatoes which have been chopped. And I'm going to stir these around and cook them until they're soft and they've reduced a bit. Now the tomatoes have reduced a lot, so they're going to go into the greens like that, all of them. I'm going to stir this in a little. And the last thing left, which everyone here just absolutely loves, is the final dollop of butter. And these greens will be eaten with a cornbread makki di roti. It's delicious and the combination is just wonderful. I'm at the confluence of the Beas and Satluj. What I'm going to make is fish in the Amritsari style. Amritsar is just a few miles north of here. And this is the fish caught in the waters. This is rahu, which is a kind of carp, and this is singhara, which is a kind of catfish. These are steaks from the singhara. I'm going to take a tablespoon of salt, put it into 3 tablespoons of vinegar, mix that up well so the salt is dissolved, and then just pour it over the fish. And the fish can just sit in this for about 30 minutes. This is 150 grams of chickpea flour, which I'm going to sift right into a bowl, like so. And then I'm going to slowly add about 300 milligrams of water. And keep stirring as you do so. Now just beat it well. And to this, I'm going to add some chili powder, or cayenne, which is about a teaspoon. In it goes. Half a teaspoon of turmeric, half a teaspoon of ground black pepper, and 1 1/2 tablespoons of ajwain. Now this is a very interesting spice. It tastes a bit like oregano, and in fact, if you can't get it, use 2 teaspoons of dried oregano. I'll put that in. The last thing I'm going to put in are 1.5 tablespoons of ginger and 1.5 tablespoons of garlic, which I mashed together in a mortar. That goes into the paste. I mix it all up. Then I take the fish and rub a little bit of this marinade on both sides of the fish, and then it can sit that way for another 30 minutes. Once the fish is marinated for 30 minutes, heat the oil. It should be really hot. And once it's hot, you drop in the fish. Once the fish is fried for 3 to 5 minutes, or till it's done, you take it out and let it drain. It should turn wonderfully crisp on top and be meltingly soft inside. To go with the fish, I'm going to prepare a fresh mint and white radish chutney. It's simplicity itself to make. This is a bunch of mint chopped coarsely. It goes into a blender. And I will also put in 4 ounces of white radish. If you can't get this, use red radish, that's all right. A small onion, chopped, that goes in. And 8 to 10 fresh green chilies, they go in to make it nice and spicy. About 2 tablespoons of lime or lemon juice, 2 teaspoons of salt, and just enough water to blend, maybe about 2 tablespoons. And blend it for 3 or 4 minutes or until it's fairly smooth. This chutney has a wonderfully fresh, minty, radishy flavor.
The Satluj River crosses and recrosses the border with Pakistan. On both sides is Punjab. This once vast state was the entry point for invaders from the northwest, Greeks, Turks, Persians and Afghans.
Right on this border, I'm going to give you an example of their cuisine. I'm going to make chaap masala, which is lamb chops and spices. This is very simple to make, no oil is used. Now 3 tomatoes chopped up go into a pot, 2 medium onions which are also chopped, a tablespoon of cayenne pepper, 6 fluid ounces of lightly beaten yogurt, about 1.5 teaspoons of salt, and 3 tablespoons of chopped ginger and 3 tablespoons of chopped garlic, which I've ground together to a paste with a little water. And then the chops, which is about 2 pounds of thin lamb chops. And all I'm going to do is stir them around and let them simmer very gently for about 50 minutes. While the lamb chops are bubbling away, the Punjabi garam masala can be prepared. For this you need a tablespoon of green cardamom seeds, 5 tablespoons of black cardamom seeds, 5 tablespoons of black peppercorns, 6 tablespoons of cumin seeds, and 10 tablespoons of coriander seeds, plus a few sticks of cinnamon, a few cloves, and a little bit of nutmeg. You grind all this, and you get a powder that looks like this. Now the meat is almost done. I'm going to add to it a teaspoon of the garam masala that I just made, a tablespoon of ground roasted cumin seeds, 3 tablespoons of lemon juice, and lots of fresh coriander or mint, whichever you happen to have. Put that in, stir it a little bit, just to mix it. So you cover it and let it cook for another 15 or 20 minutes until the meat is completely done. Now it's done. It looks wonderful, smells wonderful, and I know it tastes wonderful. So here it is, chaap masala, lamb chops with spices.
The Grand Trunk Road, one of the world's great highways, known more affectionately or even with fear and loathing as simply the GT Road. It runs over 3,000 miles from Peshawar in Pakistan to Calcutta on the eastern side of India. This great stretch of tarmac is one of the lifelines of the country for goods, people and animals, and its reputation is awesome.
If you're a sensation seeker, let me suggest you try going down the Grand Trunk Road in an open bus. Tires screeching, horns blaring. Somebody once said that if you think bungee jumping is thrilling, you should try going down the GT Road. This is exciting.
The volume of traffic renders this road a nightmare. Crashes, sadly, are commonplace. The GT Road may be a fearsome experience, but it does boast something to soothe and replenish the most agitated driver. It's roadside cafes or dhabas.
All along the Grand Trunk Road, there are lots of dhabas where trucks whoosh to a stop, truck drivers jump out and try and get a quick bite to eat. Now these places develop reputations. This is supposed to be one of the best.
Every dhaba specializes in different foods, although you can bet you'll always get dal and roti. Here it's mostly vegetarian and it's very good. The drivers must take advantage of this fare. Who knows where the next good food stop might be?